You are 42 years old. Your retirement account holds exactly $640, and your net worth is a deeply negative number due to a lingering car loan and a credit card balance you use to fix a broken furnace. It is 11:30 p.m. on a sweltering Tuesday. You are staring at a water stain on your living room ceiling. You know it's a slow leak from the upstairs bathroom, but calling a plumber means paying a $150 diagnostic fee you don't have. Your neck is stiff from a persistent, low-grade stress headache. You realize you are one major household breakdown away from absolute financial ruin. You wake up at 5:45 a.m. accurately anticipating the heavy feeling in your chest. Before your feet touch the floor, you open your banking app. You aren't checking for a windfall. You are managing a tactical retreat. You watch the pending charges like a hawk, praying the auto insurance premium doesn't post before your paycheck hits at midnight. You look at your reflection while brushing your teeth. The deep lines framing your mouth didn't come from years of laughter. They were etched by years of silent mental arithmetic conducted in the dark. At your job, you feel entirely disconnected. You sit through mandatory corporate meetings about long-term strategy while your brain operates strictly on a 24-hour survival loop. You pack a generic sleeve of crackers and a single piece of fruit for lunch, quietly avoiding the common room where your younger colleagues talk about their crypto portfolios and weekend trips. A flash of intense embarrassment hits you, followed quickly by a cold, protective numbness. Your physical energy is noticeably lower than it was a decade ago, but your daily anxiety is peaking. You sit in your car in the driveway for 5 minutes, breathing deeply, forcing your face into a calm mask before walking inside to greet your family. That quiet helplessness settles into your bones before you even turn off the ignition. You are 44 years old. The high-interest credit cards are finally gone, wiped out by a year of ruthless budgeting that your family quietly resented. You have managed to accumulate $38,000 in a workplace 401k, and you keep a tiny $3,000 emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. It's a rainy Friday morning at the grocery store. You pick up a premium brand of coffee without checking the price per ounce, and you don't feel a spike of adrenaline when the cashier rings up the total. To an outsider, this is invisible. To you, it feels like an incredible milestone. But while walking to the parking lot, you notice the sheer scale of the cars around you. Everyone else seems to be driving pristine, late-model SUVs, while your sedan has a dent in the passenger door you've ignored for 2 years. You realize that while you are no longer actively drowning, you are still just dog-paddling in the middle of the ocean. You are stable, but stable is just a polite word for stagnant. Labor data confirms you are in your peak earning years, yet your salary increases feel entirely cosmetic, instantly swallowed by the rising cost of groceries and health insurance premiums. You sketch out some rough calculations on the back of a receipt. At your current pace, you will be nearly 70 before you can even think about stepping away from the corporate grind. 70 feels like a lifetime away, yet terrifyingly close. Your lifestyle choices are entirely defensive now. You pass on social invitations and tell people you're just a homebody. But the unvoiced truth is you cannot bear the thought of denting that $3,000 safety net. On your evening commute, a wave of profound exhaustion hits you. You aren't lazy. You've just been running a marathon on a treadmill for 2 decades. You realize this level of wealth just gives you a slightly larger cell, but you are still locked inside. That panic sits quietly at the back of your throat. It doesn't move. You are 46 years old. Your email signature now reads Director of Operations. Your workplace 401k has steadily climbed to $125,000, and your suburban home equity is finally growing. To your neighbors, you are the blueprint of upper-middle-class stability. It is 5:30 p.m. on a bleak Wednesday. You are sitting in your climate-controlled office, reviewing a resignation letter from a brilliant 29-year-old engineer. She is leaving for a rival startup that offers completely flexible remote work and a slightly higher salary. You look at her empty desk through the glass partition. A decade ago, you would have championed her move. You would have admired her courage to disrupt the corporate hierarchy. Today, all you feel is a cold, clinical irritation. Her departure means you will have to absorb her workload for the next 3 months, while spending 40 hours interviewing candidates who will demand even more money. You write a standard, emotionless corporate announcement about her departure, thanking her for her institutional contributions. You feel like a total sellout. This is the invisible tax of the mid-career plateau. To secure your paycheck at this level, you have to actively protect the corporate structures that are slowly draining your own vitality. You are no longer paid for your creativity. You are paid to manage the inertia. You drive home in a leased sedan that automatically keeps you in your lane on the highway. But the quiet cabin feels incredibly claustrophobic. You sit in your driveway in the twilight for 6 minutes. Federal Reserve data reminds you that you have more saved than most Americans your age. But being ahead in a broken race still means you're running. You have built a beautifully upholstered cage, and the lock is made of your own monthly recurring bills. That realization settles over your chest, darkening the view of your front porch. You are 48 years old. Your combined portfolio is ticking closer to $420,000. By all standard financial advice, you should be breathing easily. Instead, you feel completely exposed. You have climbed straight into the high overhead lifestyle trap. Your kids are approaching college age. Your country club membership is a mandatory networking expense, and you now have a premium health insurance tier that still somehow requires a $6,000 annual deductible. You find yourself nodding along during an automated phone menu with an insurance representative, trying to figure out why an emergency dental procedure for your son wasn't covered. You are supposed to have the good insurance. It is 8:30 p.m. on a Saturday. You are sitting at a high-end steakhouse for a co-worker's promotion dinner. The men at the table are casually debating the merits of different private wealth management firms and luxury golf simulators. You stare down at your dry-aged ribeye. It costs $95. You remember level 1, where you spent 20 minutes staring at a water stain, terrified of a plumber's fee. You realize with sharp spike of anxiety that as your income scaled, your threshold for basic peace of mind scaled even faster. You used to just want a reliable car. Now, you feel a deep, entitled flash of anger if the steakhouse kitchen gets your cooking temperature slightly wrong. You have become incredibly fragile. IRS data shows your household is in the top bracket of earners, but your cash flow is a razor-thin line. Your life requires a massive, unrelenting injection of liquid cash every single month just to maintain the illusion of success. If you get downsized tomorrow, your runway is shockingly short. Your dignity has been completely outsourced to your title. You wake up at 2:45 a.m., staring at the expensive crown molding on your bedroom ceiling. You aren't worried about credit card debt anymore. You are terrified of the sheer speed at which your life consumes money. You walk to the window, looking out at your dark, pristine lawn. Your possessions don't give you freedom. They demand your remaining years to pay for them. That cold truth stays perfectly still in your mind. You are 49 years old. You finally cross $1 million net worth mark, a milestone that puts you in an elite tier of savers. You expect to feel an instant wave of relief when that extra comma appeared on your screen, but the air in your bedroom feels exactly the same. You still wake up with a stiff neck, and you still bicker with your partner about the rising cost of car insurance. The milestone didn't arrive with a celebration. It arrived as a quiet email notification while you were standing in line at a pharmacy. It is 1:30 a.m. You are standing in your remodeled kitchen, illuminated by the cold blue light of a luxury smart refrigerator. You are drinking a glass of tap water, looking at an old leather wallet you've kept in a drawer since college. You realize you have merely traded the fear of poverty for the fear of loss. You are a paper millionaire, but over 60% of that net worth is entirely locked inside your home equity and a restrictive 401k wrapper. You can't touch it to buy a single day of autonomy. The cold math of retirement planning dictates that your nest egg can safely generate about $48,000 a year without depleting. That wouldn't even cover the property taxes and health care costs of your current lifestyle. You realize the ultimate corporate illusion. You have $1 million, but you still cannot afford to tell your demanding regional vice president what you actually think of his new strategy. You are a millionaire who still has to ask for permission to take a Friday afternoon off. Your assets have grown exponentially, but your actual day-to-day freedom has remained completely flat. You walk back upstairs, listening to the expensive, rhythmic hum of your central air unit. You are still trading your irreplaceable time for numbers on a screen. That quiet realization shapes your breathing for the rest of the night. You are 51 years old. Your investment accounts hold $3.2 million. You have finally crossed the threshold into genuine financial independence, where working is technically an option rather than a requirement for survival. It is 10:15 a.m. on a warm Tuesday. You are sitting on a park bench 3 blocks away from your office building, holding a paper cup of tea. You don't have a briefcase or a laptop. You are just watching a squirrel navigate the branches of an oak tree. Through the trees, you can see the glass facade of your corporate headquarters. You watch the mid-level managers rushing through the revolving doors, their posture tense, their eyes locked onto their smartphones. You feel like an invisible observer looking at a past version of yourself. You have successfully detached from the machine, but you quickly realize the machine was your entire identity for 30 years. Without a project deadline to meet or a corporate crisis to manage, you are hit by a strange, hollow lightness. It doesn't feel like peace. It feels like weightlessness in a vacuum. You realize with a chill that you don't actually know who the person sitting on the park bench is without his title. Your old professional relationships begin to evaporate. When you meet your former colleague for a drink, you realize you no longer share the same language. Their complaints about corporate politics sound incredibly trivial to you, and your new freedom sounds like bragging to them. A subtle, unvoiced barrier of resentment fills the space between you. You spend $20,000 on an asset protection trust, constructing a fortress to keep the chaotic world out, only to realize you are the only occupant. The financial stress is dead, but the purpose folder is entirely blank. That heavy truth hangs in the air, changing your reflection in the glass. You are 53 years old. Your family office portal displays a net worth of $12 million. The numbers have lost their traditional meaning. They are no longer currency, but protective wall built around your family. It is 6:30 p.m. on a clear spring evening. You are sitting in the audience at your son's university graduation, watching him walk across the stage in his black gown. You look at his confident, easy smile, and a cold wave of anxiety hits you. He has never known level 1. He has never lived in an apartment with a leaking ceiling, or felt his stomach drop at the sound of a sputtering car engine. To him, capital is an invisible, ambient utility that has simply always existed to power his life. You begin to wonder if your total financial success has inadvertently robbed him of his grit. You solved every material problem for him, but in doing so, you remove the exact resistance that forged your own resilience. Your primary concern is no longer wealth accumulation, it is wealth inoculation. You find yourself arranging private family meetings with specialized counselors to discuss generational wealth stewardship and the psychology of inheritance. You are no longer just a parent. You are the managing trustee of a multi-generational financial enterprise. You spend your weekends at high-end charity auctions, making polite conversation with people who own private foundations. You hold a cocktail, look at the manicure crowd, and realize you have completely lost touch with the hungry, scrappy version of yourself. You are desperate to protect descendants who haven't even been born yet, try and control the future from behind a wall of legal structures. You look at your spouse, and you realize your relationship has slowly transformed into an incredibly well-run business partnership. That chilling isolation frames your entire perspective. You are 55 years old. You have achieved absolute, definitive financial sovereignty. Your life is entirely managed by a dedicated private wealth team. You do not deal with commercial flight delays. You do not wait in lines, and your time is entirely your own. It is sunset on a quiet Thursday. You are sitting on the outdoor terrace of a luxury villa overlooking the cliffs of Mallorca. The ocean below is an endless, silent expanse of deep indigo, and the sky is a burning orange. It is the exact visual definition of success you used to stare at on travel blogs 25 years ago. You are the undisputed master of your reality. But as the evening air cools, you open your phone out of pure, decades-old muscle memory. You scroll past estate planning updates and the private equity distributions, all the way to an archive folder. You open a digital note from 24 years ago titled Budget. It is just a raw, messy list of utility bills, minimum credit card payments, and the exact cost of groceries. You read those old numbers, and you feel a sudden, sharp ache of nostalgia in your chest that your vast fortune hasn't been able to replicate in years. You realize with devastating clarity that the stressed young man who wrote that note in a dark kitchen was more vibrantly alive than the comfortable man sitting on the terrace tonight. That man had an apex to reach. He had a profound, driving mission. You are just standing alone on the frozen summit. The data on wealth satisfaction is an absolute reality beyond a certain point. More digits provide 0 additional units of human happiness. You have bypassed that limit by a massive margin. Your whole life was a sprint to buy absolute freedom, but you realize now that you merely bought isolation. You walk to the stone railing and look out at the dark water. You think about the terrified 42-year-old who couldn't sleep because of a water stain on his ceiling. You realize that man was your best friend. He was the engine that built your world. And you spent the last 13 years trying to completely erase him. The orange sky darkens. The cursor blinks.